Have you ever heard of a full fat eMTB? Yeah, that's a word used to describe those full power, heavy, full suspension eMTBs with powerful motors. But I think that phrase, that's been sort of misused. This is the proper full fat. This is, excuse my pronunciation, the Rock Machine Vyöry. It's a Rock Machine full power fat bike. And as you can see, this fat bike has got no suspension. And well, do you need suspension? You've got lots of suspension in these huge tires. These are not the original tires. These are the... Yeah, it's quite soft here. These are the Orbea Almighty 4.8 inches 26. These tires got lots of studs. And the grip it's not stellar, it's not like the narrower 29 by 2.6 inches studded tires, but still great. We took this bike on several rides. Today the conditions are quite soft, sort of early spring. The snow doesn't carry us very well and you slide a bit. But previously we've been riding lots of powdery snow and a bit of ice, hard-packed snow, icy snow. We rode the bike up against the Orbea Wild with 29 by 2.8 inches studded tires, so what we used to call plus-tyres, and we rode it against the Marin Alpine Trai E1. And that bike had the fairly narrow, for a 3-inch tire, the Rothschild by 45 North Rothschild XL studs. Big fat studs with stellar ice grip. But those tires were among the narrowest tires, the 3 inches at the rear and the 2.6 by 29er at the front. What we want when riding snow, when riding loose conditions, we want as wide tires as possible. The 2.6 inches tire on the front on the Marin bike, that's a bit too narrow. We dropped the air pressure as much as we could, but you can't really drop it that much because you will get pinch flats. The rim will strike through and bottom out in the tire. Going to the 2.8 inches on the Orbea Wild, that's way better. But getting on this bike, it's so stable. When you're struggling on the other bikes, you barely notice. You don't understand why the other guys are struggling because this feels so stable, so safe. You don't constantly have to correct the steering. You can ride over tracks in the loose snow and you stay in full control. But it's not like the plus-tire full suspension bikes are bad in these conditions. Most of the time we had at least as much fun on the full suspension bikes as on this fat bike. And that's because there are some limitations to this design. Even though it's got no suspension, it's got heavy wheels, heavy rims. It weighs about the same as any full fat, full power eMTB. And the problem with the suspension in the tires is that there is no rebound control. So we tried going fast in turns, and when we want to show off a bit to the camera, we go really fast and we just compress the bike a bit and unweight the rear end to let the rear wheel slide. And when we try doing the same thing with this bike, compress a bit, unweight, the bike bounces and you lose the front end. It's difficult just making the rear end slide. So that's great for traction in the fast high-speed turns, but if the turns are a bit bumpy, the bike will lose traction, even if you don't try to make the rear wheel drift. So this is not our choice for high-speed fun on the trails. Having these wide tires, they offer a bit of extra float. But for us that are relatively lightweight, I don't think there are that many days in the winter season where we couldn't ride a full suspension bike with a 3-inch tire, but we could get away with riding this bike. There will be some days, but there aren't that many. So it's a very specific tool to have the advantage of getting around on the snow. I think the reason to choose a fat bike, it's because you want more of an adventure bike. If you want speed and excitement, you don't really get a fat bike. Sure, it can roll fast, pump up the tires hard and go down gravel roads, and it's fast, but I'm talking snow, winter conditions. This bike is all about getting out there, exploring, going on longer rides. And if you want to go on longer rides in the cold, you need a big battery. Unfortunately, this Rock Machine only has a 500 watt-hours battery. That's fine for struggling around on a field such as this, not going too far. But if you're out long in properly cold conditions, we rode it in minus 10 degrees Celsius, then the battery temperature will drop. And when you got a small battery, it's not able to deliver as much power as a bigger battery. So you're sort of punished twice, because the range isn't that great, and also it doesn't perform as well in the cold as a bigger battery that will be capable of delivering higher current at lower temperatures. So what we can do is this. Using some sort of battery cover will insulate the battery. We've tested this previously, and the difference can be quite significant, like more than 10 degrees Celsius between inside and outside. So when the battery doesn't get as cold, it will be able to put out more current, and you will avoid having the motor cut, or the battery cut the motor power even before the battery is empty. So you might think I'm not too happy about this bike, about the Rock Machine Vyöry E70, and you're sort of wrong, because this fat bike is on sale here in Norway at 35,000 Norwegian kroners, and that translates to perhaps sub 3,000 euros. So it's a properly cheap bike for an e-bike, or even for a fat bike. And sure, if you want to go far, bring 2 batteries. It's cheap enough to afford a second battery, probably. And it's a simple bike design, no suspension. Riding in winter, you often encounter salted roads. It's perfect just having no suspension that can be damaged by and rusted by the salt. So little maintenance, simple bike that will take you anywhere as long as you're not in a rush. I mean, we test for suspension eMTBs, we always are in a rush, but sometimes, even for me, it's fun just going on longer rides, going to the mountains, enjoying the view, the scenery. This is a perfect bike for that kind of riding, I think. Hey, where are we going? You forgot about the specs. Oh yeah, you forgot about, yeah. It's got a dropper post, which is very nice when riding in the snow and you fall off the bike and you're waist deep in snow trying to get back on the bike. The Clark's Clout Plus hydraulic brakes are fine. It's got the Shimano EP6 motor, 85 Newton meters, nice and powerful, and it appears it's quite robust and durable. And the drivetrain, that's new to me, Advent X10. It seems fine. It's got all the gears and all the gear range I would need. And the tires, it doesn't actually come with studded tires. It comes with a Maxxis FBF 26 by 4.8 inches. That's it. Appreciate any likes and subscribes. Thanks for watching.